You're fine.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good to see ya.
You
Got some
too.
stuff for you here.
Oh.
Some calendars and
Oh,
some
yeah.
pens. Oh, crap, I brought that all back.
I'm gonna
That's
find
all
out.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna throw this
I'm gonna
down
find out
right
the
here.
drop dead date on that settlement.
Okay.
But I have
Hey,
one
John.
on the 28th tentatively.
What's up? How's it going with that?
Good. How you?
I thought I bought a bunch of calendars and pens, and I brought the wrong bag. I'll be right back.
Hey, John. What's up, Jim?
I brought some calendars for the desk, so I just brought the wrong bag. You don't even want to know what I brought instead.
Well, that, we would have shared it.
You gotta go Christmas shop. You know what? Honestly, this is a mistake. You should say third. Oh, this is
I might be able to do Thursday. Yeah, Thursday's the 23rd. It's the top of that big hill. Yep. Right on the left. Yeah, I told him Wednesday, but I'll call him and double check. Yeah. He's got on it. Okay, Rich, how are you?
Hello there.
There.
Oh, thank you.
So you gotta have a little rest.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I'm good, how are you?
Merry Christmas. By the way. This little pen and a little desk calendar.
Yeah, that'd be good for the meetings.
Me too.
Yeah. No, they last for a while. Not too much. How about you? They are home. They're always home. They live right in Ross. Yeah, my daughter's 30. My son's 28. Yeah.
remember when they were now they're all home, but they're home or they have their own.
No, they have their own. They own son just bought a house this year. My daughter bought one 5-6 years ago. So she got a baby. Little baby, got a grandson now, 4 months
No,
old.
she was just here. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. It's just not. I mean, you'd be crazy to buy something like that because it's so. Where is he? That's cool.
Good evening. Welcome to those of you. So good to see all of you out there. We have a little special guest tonight, but having said that, it is 7 o'clock. Actually, it's 1 minute after. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, and certainly we'll have time for comments at the end if anybody would like, but I would like to thank Councilman John Petrucci. I believe this will be your last official council meeting. Thank you so much for your service. It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Present.
Councilman Petrucci,
Present.
Councilman Getzey,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Present.
Councilman Pecora.
Present.
A few weeks ago, there was a posting that someone called to my attention. I don't get to see a lot on Facebook. I can't keep up with it, but people comment often, or they'll call me, or they'll somehow let me know that something's on Facebook. It's usually something that isn't good, but this was really, really a post that was called to my attention that has a really good outcome. The post was put up by Aurora Ortiz, and it said, "Hello, my sister and I just found a kitty on the side of the road. He is practically hairless and was shivering so bad. Do any of you have any contacts with animal shelters or any advice on what we could do?" She then took the little kitty, the two sisters took the kitty to their home, assured everyone that the kitty was nice and warm in their finished basement, and then went above and beyond of just posting, but really went to great efforts to get proper medical care and took efforts to make sure that the kitten will be adopted. Those are the sorts of people that we have in Penn Hills. You know, we're not some little neighborhood, but we are one really good community. They could have just driven by that animal, or they could have picked up the animal and said, "Look, all I can do is put this notice out there." But that didn't happen. They actually went forward and took real steps to do that. So I would ask Rosa and Aurora to please rise. We have here from the municipality of Penn Hills a certificate of recognition. The certificate is presented for exemplary service to the community and residents of Penn Hills, to Aurora Ortiz, and another one to her sister Rosa Ortiz on the 20th day of December 2021. Please come on up. Thank you. Council. Do you have a cell phone with you if you'd like to have a picture? Sorry about that. Becky, you have one, maybe you could grab one in case. Come on over here, because we're sort of a large group. Again, thank you so much. It's so nice to have special guests like that. Item number 4, approval of the minutes. May I get a motion for approval of the minutes for November 15th, 2021?
I'll make
Mayor.
a motion, Madam Mayor, for approval of minutes on November 15th, 2021.
Thank you, Councilman Getzey. May I get a second?
A second.
Any public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes?
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Minutes approved.
May I get a motion for item number 5, approval of the expenditures?
I'll make a motion for the approval of expenditures.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Item 5 approved. Next on the agenda is public comment for residents that signed up at least a week in advance to address mayor and council on a non-agenda matter. The names are listed in the order that they signed up to speak this evening. The first speaker contacted me briefly before the meeting and cannot be in attendance this evening. The first speaker is Winona Harper. When you please come to the podium, if you could please state your full name and address for the record, and also keep in mind that the comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Winona Harper, 1874 Lincoln Road.
Good
I
evening.
come to bring to your attention the rising gun violence here in Penn Hills of Allegheny County. We are constantly getting impacted by this violence, and I want to know what is the plan of action to address these issues, which one of my son was one of these victims in 2013. And from that time, I have watched numerous men and women and children get murdered here in this community. And I would like to know what is the plan of action to address these issues and to help the family. I am a grassroots organization. Also, I stand with 6 million nationwide. I am Moms Demand Action. Also, I'm Ceasefire. I stand for gun sense laws in America. And these guns are claiming too many lives up in Penn Hills. And it is very alarming that this issue is not being addressed. Then in addition, I would like to speak about Ward 1 that looks deplorable. That district, that area of Penn Hills needs to be addressed. We have overgrown weeds, trees, abandoned houses. Mr. Procure has came up there and gave us some assistance, but that area needs to be really addressed. But my main thing is the gun violence. I really want to know what is going to be done about helping the residents feel safe in this community, and what is your plan of action as far as CEAP and police is concerned in collaborating with the community and making sure we are safe. We had over 67 homicides in Penn Hills, counting the 5-year-old little boy that just got murdered in his home, which that comes from an irresponsible gun owner. Because if that gun was kept and put up in a safe place and locked properly, that baby wouldn't be dead. We're talking about 13-year-olds killing 5-year-olds. And then we have all ages. The shooters are coming out of other areas up into Penn Hills doing these shootings. I'm there on a lot of these scenes with the families. And I have yet to hear from anybody up here in reference to this gun violence. I'm done.
Is anybody going to address the issue?
I can tell you this, and I'm not making excuses
Let
for it.
me interrupt for one moment,
Okay.
please. Typically, we, at this juncture, what we do is it's really public comment,
Okay.
and we could have a workshop on that.
Okay.
But since council apparently wants to address that now, I will let them address it. But I will just say that typically this is not where the give and take is. That's usually done at a workshop. But I didn't mean to interrupt you, Councilman Petrucci. Feel free.
No, I mean, if that's what you want to do, Mayor, I mean, that's fine. I don't just want to jump in on something like that. But I will tell you this, okay? I looked, when I knew you were coming to speak, and I knew the other person, Lisa, was
Yes.
coming to speak. I did look at the UCR reports, which are Uniform Crime Reports. And the FBI does a study with the UCR reports, and they do it every year. So 2020 is already done. In 2020, crime has risen throughout the whole country, just not in Penn Hills, 30%. So it's not just happening in Penn Hills. Unfortunately, we do have some incidents that are in Penn Hills, but crime across the nation has risen. There was 585 homicides in Philadelphia. That's double the amount that there was there last year. Austin, Texas, we'll go to the complete other end of the spectrum. They're having a problem right now. Their solution is more cameras, okay? LPRs, license plate readers. Those license plate readers, we do have them. We have them all throughout Penn Hills. I'm not going to go into where they're at.
Right.
I reached out to my contacts back in March of, or actually February of 2020, when there was an incident in Penn Hills, and they said, you know, we have a lot of these LPRs, some of them are getting old. And now that we got some stimulus money, maybe we can dump some money into, they need $14,000 to renew one of these cameras that we have. That's a crucial camera in Penn Hills. So maybe I can get with the manager, talk to him about my contact at the DA's office, having them put this new camera in. The DA's office does not have any more seizure money. They're absolutely out of it. So we would have to fund the whole amount, the $14,000 ourselves.
Here in Penn Hills, correct?
Here in Penn Hills, right.
Okay.
But there is cameras everywhere. I mean, like I said, unfortunately, this happens in Penn Hills, but it's happening throughout the whole nation.
Yes,
And it's going to rise to 50%. They're claiming, the FBI report is claiming
Yes, it is. There's 350 homicides here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Since the Black Lives Matter movement started, we are up to today, 350 homicides of women, men, and children. This is alarming. And we need the resources and the tools to be able to put the stability back in the individual family's life to help the children that are in great need.
I also would like to make a
Ms.
comment.
Harper, I'd like to address your second issue. The,
Ward 1?
no, the properties, weeds, deterioration.
Excuse me?
The properties well, not the properties, the conditions you described, overgrown weeds and.
It is deplorable.
All right,
I just had a tree fall on my house, cost me over $100,000 worth of my insurance. Not in addition to that, and that lot belongs to Penn Hill School District. I've been dealing with this for over 20 years. I mean, that area is totally appalling. Like, come on. You don't live like that. You come out and you look at flowers, right? When we come out, we look at weeds, overgrown trees, houses empty, you know, lots. I mean, just deplorable. And with all the funding that this borough has, some of that needs to be implemented in that area. There's no more excuses because I've been living there for over 24 years, and I have watched it over the years just go down. But I hear about all the wonderful things that is being done in Penn Hills. That area needs to be addressed.
Okay, I'd like to respond to that. Well, while we're talking, I had this idea that the CDC had a group session about housing and communities about a month and a half ago, I think. How about a workshop that would, a day-long workshop that would involve all groups concerned? Neighbors, council, police, and have little group sessions where you could raise these issues and develop them, and we could think about solutions instead of just talking about it, have a workshop session and assign responsibilities, reporting, and whatever it takes. But let's just interact with ideas. First of all, what the problems are, where they are, who's there, and everybody could pitch in and give some recommendations. Because doing it here at a council meeting, you know, you come up here, you have 3 minutes, we're gonna respond. We need something more in-depth and more ongoing, so that's my suggestion.
And Councilman Getzey hit the nail on the head. This is not the appropriate place. It should be a workshop. I think Deputy Mayor had something to say.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to say that your issue is a rising concern. I want to also let you know that Dr. Nancy Hines, Councilman Petrucci, Mr. Ron Graham, and myself, as well as our business manager, we were working in collaboration with the school district because they, too, suffered a lot of homicides in the school district, which affected a lot of the children, which affected the communities. Your stats are very correct in what you're saying, but it doesn't help when we have people like yourself who sit on Facebook Live or social media platforms and cyberbully or threaten to bring bodily harm
Excuse
to.
me.
I'm talking, and then you can speak.
I don't threaten
Excuse me, Miss.
nobody.
Excuse me, Miss
Go ahead,
Winona
go ahead.
Harper.
Go ahead.
It doesn't help when you come with such experience to handle some of these things in our community, in our municipality. So again, with a leader like yourself, it doesn't help for you to sit on social media platforms to cyberbully or threaten to bring bodily harm to any elected official. It also doesn't help because these are the type of things that aggravate and instigate homicides. So
Excuse
thank
me.
you very much
Okay.
for your concern in coming, but next time you come to do a presentation, you should consider staying off of social media platforms with that very thing, because cyberbullying is not accepted.
And allow-
Okay,
allow
what
me
I'm
to-
going to, excuse
allow
me
me
for,
to share
excuse me
this.
for one moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you to reply to that,
Okay.
because I do not like to open the floor to this. This is what happens, then we need an opportunity. So since you asked for a response, you received that response, now I'll give you a short opportunity to reply, because this is not the appropriate time. However,
I
you should be
understand.
given the opportunity.
First of all, the way I articulate my son's death, that's the pain I feel as his mother. And I have all constitutional rights to express my feelings.
You know,
I never threatened anybody, understand that. Never threatened anybody, and never would. That's not in my nature. But I am entitled, as Jamar Hawkins' mother, Dante Hawkins, Shambo Palmer, and Rob Agers, I'm allowed, as their aunt, their mother, and all, to express my feelings of my son's death. That was execution-style shot here in Penn Hills in his head. So you can never tell me that. Thank
well,
you.
I just did.
Thank you. Item number 6C.
Next, Andrea Getzey.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, see, whatever your topic is,
Looks
might be a good idea for a workshop. No. No, okay. She said maybe. Thank you.
My name is Andrea Getzey, and I live at 151 Crescent Hills Road. I'm married to Councilman James Getzey, and I'm here to talk about Oakmont Water Authority billing. I know you don't have any control over that, but I'm going to encourage you to advocate for your residents, because I think they're hurting. And I'll tell you that because every time in my social group, every quarter when those bills come out, that's all they can talk about. The people, what was your bill? What was your bill? And they're different all the time. And one of my neighbors actually 3 neighbors, had, they found out when they got their bill that they had a leak in the house. My neighbor had a $700 bill. There's only 2 people in his household. That was really shocking. He wasn't prepared for that. And the other people with water leaks also were shocked by their bill. The problem with quarterly billing that Oakmont does is you don't find out about these leaks until 3 months have passed. And then you are stuck. They don't excuse you. They don't feel sorry for you. You have to pay. So my point is that this is a practice that has outlived its usefulness. Quarterly billing was okay when our sewage bill was $15 a month. It is no longer the case. Our sewage is now twice our water bill. For example, I had a slide that was up there for a nanosecond, and it says that thank you, Vince. There are 7,687 households served by Oakmont Water Authority. Most of our households must be served by Wilkinsburg Joint Water Authority. I don't know if there's others. I contacted the Water Authority through a right to know, because I couldn't talk about this unless I got the facts from them. They told me that the average consumption of water per person is 6,000 gallons a person. Would you put up that second slide, please? The second slide you're going to see is going to show you the math on that. What does that translate to? The bottom line there for a total for a one-person household is $209 a quarter. But look what happens when you have, that was a one-person household. 2-person, it goes to $393, 3-person, $577, and a 4-person household can be expected to pay $762 if, in fact, each person uses that much water. People can serve, but others, that's what they need. So what I'm asking council to do, one other thing I want to tell you about this is that a chart provided by Oakmont Water Authority. Pardon me?
If you can conclude, please.
A chart provided by Oakmont Water Authority shows that the day the bills are due, only 5 to 7% of households pay on time. That number is a shocking figure. It tells us people can't afford this. But because they have to pay, they have to have water, they do it. They come up with money. They come up with the money the day of termination. I want Penn Hills to have a resolution addressed to Oakmont Water Authority advocating for monthly billing, telling them that your residents need this. They could save money. I know that they do this. They do the reading on a quarterly basis, but our gas company does too. Duquesne Light does also, but they give us monthly bills. They estimate 2 of those months. One of them is an actual reading. Oakmont Water could do that too. The other thing they could do is...
Ms. Getze, if you could conclude, please.
I will. 83% of residents have internet service, so billing can be done by email. So that's in conclusion. I hope you will consider doing that. It will have a greater impact than a phone call saying, please give us monthly billing. Thank you.
Mrs. Getze, may I call you Andrea? Would you confirm to the audience that this is your own initiative and you're not acting as my surrogate here in council?
I can confirm it too.
And I'll second that. Yeah, I know.
May I get a motion for Resolution 7A, please?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion for 7A, Resolution 2021-56, approving a plan revision for the new land development at 10753 Frankstown Road, the Kernick project.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council?
Yes, I have one. Can somebody elaborate on the Kernick project?
This is a sewer tap-in on Frankstown Road. Is it the car wash? No.
Is it the car wash?
It's a sewer tap-in.
1173 is a single-family home on Frankstown Road. It's behind the Kernick Hospital.
Yeah.
And both the Kernick Hospital, Animal Hospital, and the single-family home are not sewered at this time. So this is to tap in the Kernick, that's why it's the Kernick project, to not confuse it with the car wash that's going in nearly across the street. But it's just a single-family home, and at this time, you've approved these before, where even a single-family home that connects has to do a sewer module and come through this process.
Okay, thank you.
Having said that, any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrusi,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Resolution 56 approved.
May I get a motion for Resolution 7B?
Mayor, make a motion that we accept Resolution 7B 2021-57, awarding the Baker Avenue Stream Restoration Project to C. Crump Incorporated in the amount of $46,050.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Roll call.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrusi,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Yes.
Resolution 57 approved.
May I get a motion for Resolution 7C?
I'll make a motion for Resolution 7C, 2021-58, awarding a 3-year agreement to CWM Environmental Incorporated for wastewater treatment laboratory services.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Any comment from the public? Can you please come up to the microphone and state your name and address? Thank you.
My name is Marty Smith. Address is 9218 Valley Street. I just noticed, I see in number 7B, you have an amount there, but in C, for that wastewater agreement for 3 years, you don't have an amount.
It's 202, it's $202,032
Per year?
for the 3 years.
For the 3 years.
For February 1st of '22 to to January 31st of '25. So it's 202,032 for the 3-year period.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrusi,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Resolution 58 approved.
May I get a motion for Resolution 7D?
I'll make a motion for Resolution 7D, 2021-59, approving the acquisition and subsequent disposition of vacant property located at 26 Paxico Avenue, Lot and Block 172-M-272.
Thank you. May I get a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Petrusi,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Resolution 59 approved.
May I get a motion for Resolution 7E?
I'll make a motion for Resolution 7E, 2021-60, approving the acquisition and subsequent disposition of vacant property. This is a typo, isn't it? It's duplicate of 26 Paxico.
I'm sorry,
No, it's,
the agenda has
Yep.
the same address, but the resolution is correct.
It's correct? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll
Sorry.
continue
Sorry
then.
about that.
Vacant property located at 26 Paxico Avenue, Lot and Block 172-M-134.
thank you. May I get a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council?
Mayor, what did you say, Chris? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I see that the lot and block number is different, but the address is the same.
Yes, I think it's just, we were dealing with multiple Paxico Street addresses and putting the agenda together, and the resolutions are correct. If you look at the resolution, the first one I believe is Paxico, the second one is 26 Paxico. It's two separate properties. We just made an error on the
Mayor.
agenda.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci.
Yes.
Resolution 60 approved.
May I get a motion for Resolution 7F?
I'll make a motion for 7F, 2021-61, approving the acquisition and subsequent disposition of vacant property located at 816 Ridge Avenue, lot and block 445-A-389.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes?
Resolution 61 approved.
May I get a motion for Resolution 7G?
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept Resolution 7G 2021-62, approving the intergovernmental corporation agreement between the municipality of Penn Hills and the township of Wilkins for the Baker Street Stream Restoration Project.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Yes.
Resolution 62 approved.
Thank you. May I get a motion for Resolution 7A, item 7H?
I'll make a motion for Resolution H, Resolution 2021-63, approving agreement with Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for $2.5 million of the multimodal funding and authorizing municipal manager to sign the agreement.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public?
Hello, everybody. Felix Catlin, 223 Detour Drive. I just am really always been curious about what multimodal funding is. If we could just have a word on that for the audience. We have a nice group here tonight. Thank you.
Sure. Multimodal is a funding source that's funded by the Commonwealth Financing Authority. And so it was about 3 years ago, around this time, that we were awarded multimodal funding in the amount of $3 million. And after the award was done, we had to sign a contract with PennDOT to agree to meet the terms and conditions of the grant. That's what this is, except this is the second round of it. We were awarded a second round of money for $2.5 million, which we haven't spent yet. We know that we're going to do a lot of street improvements with it, but we haven't yet signed the contract. So once the contract is signed, and then at that point, we have 3 years to spend the money. So multimodal is a funding source.
Any further public comment? Any comment from council?
Again, this is Marty Smith. My address is 9218 Valley Street. In regards to the $2.5 million for this multimodal funding, will any of that money go, the street repairs or parks, any of that money, is there a portion set aside to use a black or minority-owned business?
The terms and conditions of the funding are set by PennDOT, and all of those terms and conditions of the grant are actually in the contract. So we, as the grant recipient, have to follow along with whatever it is that the state puts into the contract in terms of meeting the right regulations for women, minorities, and small business contractors. I think that some of that is standard language in most of the PennDOT agreements. But what we're doing tonight is approving the contract that PennDOT gave to us. And to be more specific to your question, I would invite you to look at the contract.
Where can I find our contract at?
I could give it to you right after the meeting.
Any further public comment? Any comment from council? I would like to make a comment. I think that it speaks volumes that they're willing to give, that the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation is willing to give this kind of money to Penn Hills. It doesn't only reflect how large we are, it also reflects our ability to manage that kind of money. I'm very, very proud of our administration, and I'm very proud that the professionalism of this administration has been recognized. I just wanted to point that out because I think that some folks in Penn Hills don't even realize. I mean, you walk into this building and you can see what a beautiful building this is, but so often you don't see what the administrators are doing. I'm not saying council, mayor and council, I'm saying the administrators. We have a very, very professional administration, and I think it speaks volumes that the state recognizes that we can handle this type of funding. Roll call, please.
On Resolution 63, Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Resolution 63 approved.
May I get a motion for item number, resolution under item 7I?
I'll make a motion under 7I, Resolution 2021-64, awarding Churchill Country Club lining project to State Pipe Services, the amount of $349,650, and to Insight Pipe for $146,985.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public?
Felix Catlin again, 223 Detour Drive. Am I correct in assuming that is the former Churchill Valley Country Club area? And is it adjacent to the Allegheny Land Trust property? Is it on our easement? Could you just clarify a little bit about the location of the project and how it might affect the work of the Allegheny Land Trust? Thank you.
Do you want to field that, Chris or Scott? Or Rick? It's his pipe. Okay.
Yes, this is a project where Penn Hills received a grant from Alcosan to help remove infiltration and inflow that's entering the system. And this work is just generally called the Churchill Country Club area. Some of it does pass through the former country club, and most of it, or a lot of it is, well, it's all in the Penn Hills right away, although we have collaborated with the Allegheny Land Trust to access the their property correctly and within their guidelines. So it's a series of projects between excavations and lining of sewers to reduce the I&I, which, as you know, you just signed a consent order to do. So this project has been in the works for about 3 or 4 years, and preempting that this order was coming. And now you have the funding through stimulus to do this work, and so it is moved into the actual construction phase. These are the low bidders recommended for award.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Resolution 64 approved.
May I get a motion for item 8 under ordinances?
I'll make a motion for item 8 under ordinances. Ordinance 2688 of 2021, adopting the 2022 operating budget and establishing a tax rate for 2022.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci.
Yes.
Ordinance 2688 approved.
Thank you. Moving to item 9 on the agenda. We start with the deputy mayor and then move alphabetically. Do you have any report, Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say Light Up Night was a great success again. To Department of Public Works, you are amazing. It looks beautiful outside, and so I just want to just give you a hand because it just brings such holiday cheer to our neighborhood, to our municipality. So great job. It was good to see all the people come through and all of the toys that we've collected. I believe it was over 120 cars or so. And also to the Rotary Club, thank you so much for what you do. I'm also so excited to see all of the diversity here in the audience this evening. I'm happy to see all of our neighborhoods being represented tonight. This is exactly what council meetings are about. I always say, you hear me say it over and over, this is your municipality, it's your wallet. Get out here and see how your money is being spent, have an input. So thank you all for coming out tonight. It's great to see everybody. The other thing I wanted to let you know is that Chief Howard Burton, his day is coming up. The end of the month, December 31st, will be his last day, and I know he's out there watching. So want to say to you, Chief, thank you so much for over 50 years of service here in our municipality. You've done a good job. We're certainly going to miss you. Good luck. Enjoy your life. Date your wife, Lynn. I know you're excited, or not. God bless you, Chief, with great health, prosperity, joy, and long life. Thank you so much. Also, I wanted to just say that it is December 20th, and this was on my notes prior, Mayor, to us talking in the back a little bit. So it's December 20th, 2021, and we don't yet have a chief put in place. I just think that it's important for the residents to know what's going on. We are working on that. The mayor has some things in mind, and so I'll leave that for her to talk about. Again, Robbie Myers, he accepted the job for the position, and as of today, council has not yet heard anything of what's going on with Robbie Myers. Okay, so I'll leave the rest up to the mayor when she gives her report. I want to say thank you to all of our municipal directors and their staff for doing a great job throughout 2021. I certainly look forward to working with you all in 2022. And again, thank you. You all are the best. I think Penn Hills, I worked with over 83 municipalities. Penn Hills, you rock. I just want to say thank you so much to our directors and their staff. And I know I see you smiling over there at Gateway because it's very true. And everywhere I go within the 83 municipalities, Chris, your name is always brought up. And you know what? I'm so proud to say that you belong to Penn Hills. Thank you so much for what you do. The other thing I want to say, Councilman Petrucci, it's been a pleasure serving with you.
Thank you.
It wasn't always easy in the beginning, As a resident, you look out and you say, well, why isn't this being done and why isn't that being done? And we tend to, myself included, to have a lot of complaints because we see a lot of things that, need addressed. But when you get here and you sit on the other side of the table, you know that it's a process. Well, Councilman Petrucci came in as a Lone Ranger, and he thought that he was going to just handle everything all by himself. Well, he quickly learned that that was not the case. And so I just want to say, Councilman, I'll certainly miss you. It's been a pleasure working with you. We've learned a lot together. I'll miss you at ALOM, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
And then finally, I want to say thank you to all the residents who've been sending me Christmas cards and letters. Thank you so much. I haven't read them all, but I've been reading them, so I appreciate your Christmas cards, and I want to say right back to you, I appreciate them. Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year. Let's all be healthy and prosperous. Thank you, and God bless. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Getzey.
Yes, I'd like to speak about the stimulus grant. I'm very concerned about how this grant is being managed, and I'm concerned about the public not understanding the grant, not knowing what it's about, and that this is such a new thing that it's very difficult to absorb because it is so complex and convoluted in its presentation. So anyway, I was a federal grants manager for 40 years, so grants to me are like reading the morning newspaper, I think. And what concerns me about this grant is, number one, In March, it was passed, and shortly thereafter, you were able to define projects. Now, we're 75% of the way through the first year, and we don't have any money spent because the report that was sent in recently, when it said how much have you spent, was zero. And I'm concerned, I'll get to the conclusion of this, but I'm concerned because we haven't started anything. So I started to make some notes that I wanted to present briefly and ended up with 4 pages of notes, which would keep us into tomorrow, but I'm not going to do that. But what I want to say is we need to look at what is needed in this community and apply the grant, particularly to that. The plan so far talks about 2 things I'm concerned about. One is that we want to not raise taxes in this community, and the second thing is that if we don't raise taxes, how are we going to handle our budgets? The budgets and taxes are the issues here. Now, what I'm saying here isn't my opinion. It's what I'm taking from the grant, and I'm just going to highlight what I have here and not go through all 4 pages of it. But my concern is that we have no, in the first year of the grant, we have no plan that addresses the intent of the grant. And the grant is to alleviate the negative results of the COVID virus. And that is specifically the grant, that's what the grant's for. And there are addendums to the grant, and each addendum that describes an eligible cost refers to this. It is meant to negate the negative effects. And that's repetitive through there. Now, my concern is this. When you do the grant, I think you should start planning it right away. When you do the grant, address the issues that need to be addressed and make sure you are addressing the negative effect thing. Everybody talks about grant eligibility. Well, there's a lot of things eligible in the grant, but are they fundable? Now, Chris, we've had community development block grant here for in Penn Hills. And the language for the community development block grant program is benefit low and moderate income persons and help to eliminate blight. Now, eligibility, it's an eligibility activity, but in order to be funded, you'd have to meet the low and moderate income criterion. $18 million over 2 years that we're getting, it would take approximately 18 years to get that money through community development block grant, and we're being handed this money. So what I have done is I formed up in my own grant to pass along to the audience and to council that how we should spend the money. And what I've done is I've taken $18 million and divided it into quarters. So the first quarter of the grant, which is, I forget what the amount is, I have it written here. So the first quarter of the grant for 2 years, we will assign 25% of that grant to water and sewer projects. Water and sewer projects are one of the public projects that are specifically eligible under the stimulus grant because it addresses the entire community, addresses a need most communities have, and it's an expensive thing, and as we've heard in the past, we have a lot of work to do there. So I'm saying, just take 25% off the top and say, here's the money you can use to develop your plan. And you have 4 years to execute this plan. The second thing I would do is take another quarter of that grant. I'd give it to planning and code enforcement, and through their combined efforts to come up with a plan to spend that money in a 4-year period we have to spend it to do housing, code enforcement, neighborhood improvement. The range of activities so wide it would take me half an hour just to read through that. But in that amount of money, it would include hiring additional staff to help with the workload. And what I'm saying is if they could take that money and say, here's what you have to work with, and start doing a plan for neighborhood improvement, for all the problems we have, for housing, for demolition, that they would work out a plan and say, here's our plan. Now, that's half the grant I've spoken to. What they could do is, if they couldn't use all that money, the money could then go into one of the other categories. If one of the other categories couldn't use all the money, it would go into, Block 2, neighborhood improvements. And those to me are the two easy things, because that's what they do. All we're doing is increasing the amount of work they can do, give them the money to do it, and give them the resources to do it, which would be hiring staff and come up with a plan. All they would be doing, in my opinion, is expanding what they're already doing by having more money to do it. Now, as was pointed out earlier, we have vacant lots, we have dilapidated buildings that need to be demolished. We could establish housing programs, we could attract developers, we could do all this with the stimulus money. Third category is safety, police, fire, and emergency services. This is the most difficult one because, first of all, let's take the police. The police are already in the budget. And what they would have to do is show that any other work they did to alleviate the grant situation would be over and above what they are doing normally. So they would have to keep track of what they do and define what is done to alleviate the negative impacts and what is their normal workload. The police would be the most difficult. The fire department would be a little easier because a lot of the things that they do are mentioned in the regulations as helping this activity. And the emergency services would be like a no-brainer because a lot of what they do is medical, healthy. So that would be my third category. My fourth category would be the open application, so that anybody who feels that they could use the money to meet the intent of the program and would file an application to be funded, and these would be reviewed and funding done there. In my opinion, this would be a straightforward program addressing our big issues of neighborhoods, of housing, and the money could be expended quickly. Now, the other thing I'd like to recommend is, as I go through these regulations, they are difficult, and the more I get into the taxation part and the budget part, it's very complicated, and even though I'm used to doing this is very complicated. The regulations are very long, but I've been able to take lengthy regulations and compress them into like little modules that you could understand more easily. So what I would like to recommend is, number one, I would like to have a committee of at least 5 people, maybe more, who would be willing to sit down and go over the regulations with me and just to understand what we're doing here. And then I could have, or we could have, people from like Chris and people come in and explain what it would be if they had that money, what they could do with it. And just talk through the whole thing. Because we're sitting here talking about a grant that is so complex that if we just sit here and talk about it and not look at it and not read it, and I would isolate the items in there that we could concentrate on. Because there's a lot in there you wouldn't want to read and it's not necessary to read. So I would like volunteers to get in touch with me and say, I'd like to be on that committee. I don't want anybody from the municipality, employees, elected. I just want people who are not affiliated with the municipality in any way so that they don't come in with an agenda. Just an open space and they could listen. So if the folks who are part of this committee are interested, then they could comment. They could come to council and comment on what's needed, what's available. The other thing is last year, well, on the other budget, I think we'll get to that, but please give it serious consideration. I'd like to meet with you, I'd like to talk with you, I'd like to explain it, because if I was sitting out there listening to what I'm saying up here, I don't know if I'd understand it, because it's that complex. So please, I'd like to have your attention on this. I'd like to have some volunteers I could speak with, and I'd like the community people to understand really what this is about. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Councilman Pecora.
Yes. I'd just like to wish everybody a happy holiday season. And please stay safe out there, because it's getting bad from what I understand from people in the hospitals that I know, people that work in the hospitals. Please be safe. And I'd just like to say one other thing to Ms. Harper. We will get to work on your issues. I will, as soon as I can. And everybody enjoy your holidays.
Thank you. I too would like to say, Ms. Harper, I've said this privately before, but I would say publicly because there was an issue today. You do have my condolences on the death of your son. Gun violence is everywhere, and we are elected officials. We are here to speak for you. Just because we're elected officials, though, doesn't mean that we have the answers to these complicated issues. If any suggestion that you have, any ideas that you have, the difference between us and the folks sitting in the audience is just this bar here. Whatever ideas or suggestions you have, give them to us, and we're happy to try to implement them. I would tell you that, if we had all the answers, this is a very, very complex issue. It's a social issue. It's a family issue. It's a government issue. From our end of it, when we sit up here, we talk about budgets and we talk about ordinances, it's another word for laws. Certainly we are, from the money standpoint, we have some more police officer positions that are going to be put into effect. We talk about cameras, and any ideas or suggestions that you have, anybody in the audience, we certainly welcome those. From an ordinance standpoint, we can have all the laws and ordinances that we want and that would not have prevented that any accident that had occurred here. And, people already know it's a crime to commit gun violence. And it's also contrary to, I don't really know anything about guns. I just didn't grow up like that. I don't know. But from what I hear, there are precautions you can take. I don't know those details, but this is a really complicated issue, and we don't have all the answers, but we have some of the tools and the resources that you mentioned, and I can pledge on my behalf, I will certainly advocate to use those tools and resources, but we really can't do that alone. In terms of the stimulus, we have, with all due respect to Councilman Getzey, we have, if you want to use the term committee, I'm happy to use that term, but this is what we are. We, along with you, are that committee. We've been having these meetings for months now. We've asked for public input. We've put the information out there, and this is an ongoing process. So as we go along, feel free to give your input. I'm quite proud that Penn Hills received the largest amount of money in this area. Yes, we are the largest suburb outside the city of Pittsburgh. We're so big, we've got close to 30 neighborhoods and more than one zip code. I say that every chance I get. But it also is a reflection of, again, the confidence that the other branches, that the other levels of government have in us. They don't just give this kind of money out unless they believe unless they're confident that we can spend it properly. I am proud that we did not get the money and just immediately spend it. It's kind of like my kids with their paycheck, right? They want to run out and spend the paycheck on pizza, but I'm really proud whenever they sit back and think that through. To whom much is given, much is expected. And so a lot of people have to, including yourself, but also our professional administration. It takes a lot of people to sit down and look at this kind of money and to spend it responsibly. And once again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I am so proud of our administration. I'm so proud every time that I have the opportunity to meet with them outside of this forum here. Two things that are crystal clear that the money can be spent on, and that's part of the difficulty, is figuring out whether or not we're within the proper guidelines. One item is the sewer system. I mean, that's just, that's not up for debate. Every community needs a sewer system. And so we are properly putting money into our sewer system. It's not something you might not notice this for quite some time, but we are further ahead than most of the communities. You'll hear the deputy mayor speak often about how we attend local government academy. When we talk to other people from other government, from other municipalities, really, we have a very, our sewer system is further along. We're really in good shape there. The second thing is parks. That's a really cool thing. So outdoor activity. So during COVID, that's a really good thing. In addition to this money, we just were awarded money from the state for our parks here. People don't realize we have 9 parks here. In addition, we've got a skate park. We've got a lot of outdoor activity for children and for everybody, not just children. So we're making the grant was to make our parks ADA accessible. I'm really proud again that the state recognized that we can handle that kind of money. We don't sit here as an island. We have to work in conjunction with the federal and state government. And it's really nice to see that they have recognized that we're willing to be governmental partners with them. And it's about that sort of funding, and we're getting that. So I don't see him here, but John Scaglione did a wonderful job again at Christmas, and I was very proud to stand next to him when we had a press conference on the almost $250,000 for our parks. We have a lot of really good things coming down the pike. Chief Burton's contract does not expire until December 31st. So although he's still with us, this is the first opportunity we get to say publicly, thank you so much for your service. And we wish you the very best going forward. We will have a chief in place on January 1st. We've conducted interviews. We have a lot going on behind the scenes. So rest assured, we will have someone in place up until the moment that the chief gives us a final and formal goodbye.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I interject something here? I forgot to tell you about the last chapter.
I'm sorry,
The last chapter of the regulations talks about
Councilman
recoupment.
Councilman
And it says if you
Getzi, it's
don't
not,
spend the
it's
money-
not
if you don't
appropriate.
spend the money on time,
Councilman
they
Getzi,
will take it back.
Councilman Getzi,
Yes, ma'am.
with all due respect, I haven't interrupted you.
Well, I thought you were finished, Mayor. Sorry.
No, when I'm done, the next item is adjournment. This is not a workshop. We don't go back and forth. Everybody's
All right,
given the
I'm sorry I
opportunity.
brought up the recoupment thing.
Next time, I
John Scaglione did a fabulous job with the decorations out there for the holiday season. I would like to wish everybody a very happy holiday, happy new year, and I would like to once again thank Councilman Petrucci for his service, and we wish him the best going forward.
I have a few, a short laundry list tonight, okay, but something that needs said.
Since this is his last council meeting, we'll let Councilman Petrucci take it out of order. Feel free.
As you know, tonight's probably one of the last meetings that I'll be speaking on this side of the dais. I want to thank all my supporters, going back all the way to 2015. I'd like to thank Ron and Kathy Sapp, Jim and Andrea Getzi, Mark and Karen Lands, Tyler Tomasino, and my wonderful wife. A wise person once said to me, if the community is better off now at the end of your term than when you started, then you have accomplished something and made a difference. I think my record during my tenure in the last 4 years speaks for itself. It's been a truly amazing 4 years. Lots of changes have happened, and most of them have been for the better. One of those changes was hiring manager, my part in playing and hiring a manager to my right, Scott Andrzejczak. Even though he doesn't bleed red and gold, he does have the best intentions for Penn Hills. He really cares about this town. Today you have the best manager with no political affiliation or personal agenda, working for the betterment of this community. Believe me, he does. He works hard for this community too. And let's not forget about Sherry, our finance director. A wonderful, honest, bright young woman with a great mind for finance. Thank you, Sherry. Both of them bring fresh, innovative ideas into our Penn Hills government, and that's what we need, folks. We need fresh, innovative ideas. Now, listen, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to have the same phone number, the same email, so if anybody wants to reach out to me, please do so. I learned one thing, that I don't need a councilman to do good for my community. I don't need to be a councilman to do good for my community. I will still be involved in the economic development, the public safety, combating litter, the Monument Committee, the Food Insecurity Group, the Rosedale Pantry Group, the Rotary, and the Rosedale Civic Association, and many other organizations around Penn Hills. And I look forward to being with all of you in the audience watching over local government as I did in the beginning. You know, there was only about 4 of us up at the old building, and we sat here. It was me, Jim Getze, Andrea Getze, Brett Rambo, and Faith was there, I believe, in the beginning. A couple of things, real short. First, let me say that dissemination of the information that we have in Penn Hills going on in this building, even as far as down as trying to get out the word that we're having a light up night. This administration and the previous administration have both worked on trying to better that. And I hope that when I'm gone, that we still continue to try and work out a better way to get this information disseminated to all 42,000 people in this community. It's a shame that the other part of the community is in the dark. They don't know where. I was out walking, and they don't know who the mayor is. They don't know who the council people are. They don't know who there was a new building installed. Okay, so that information, we have to figure out a way. And we've been over this and beat our heads over and over and over again. If anybody has ideas, please bring them to the table. Faith Milazzo, you brought up a point at the budget meeting. I just want to say you hit it dead on. And I believe everybody should go back and look at that, and everybody should go back to that budget meeting hearing that was that Scott Andrachak gave the slideshow for. And I want them to go to the graph chart where it says it will be up in 2023, I believe. Yeah, 2023 up to $7 million again. Okay, and I think that's fantastic, and I understand how the budget's working this year, and I understand how the stimulus is going, but I just want to put this in your head just like Faith did. In 2024, we're going to have maybe a new council and a new mayor, maybe, okay? That person and that council are going to have to figure out what contingencies must be made to keep the municipality going in the right direction. If they're not made, we will spend the fund balance again. And as Scott, look at the tape. Scott said you can only do it for a couple years, okay? And as we all know, politicians will take the path of least resistance. So it's going to be very tempting to spend that fund balance. And some say we'll need to get through 2028 because there's a bond that's going to be paid off. And that'll make things a lot better. But by the time that comes, something else will happen in this municipality, just like it happens at your home when you're trying to save up for a new car and the refrigerator breaks or the stove breaks and you end up putting that money into a different pile. Something will happen. So we have to watch what's happening back in, when 2025, that money's going to be gone. So 2024, the new administration is going to come in. They're going to have to make a lot of hard financial decisions. And whoever's sitting here left is going to have to make a hard financial decision. What avenue? And he said in his speech, he can't look into the future and tell you what's going to happen. He can't predict the future. So, Faith, you brought that up, and I thought it was a good point, and I just wanted to point it out to everybody. Look at the budget with the budget hearing again on that, and take a look at it. I understand we're going into a new code. Possibly we're going to hire some new officers. Only thing I would think about is log sheets. Daily log sheets for those code officers, so that when somebody wants to go in and say, hey, what did you do today? We have a list of everything that they did. I did it as a police officer. The police officers do it now. They do it, call them run sheets or daily activity logs. I think those gentlemen in there should have the same, and gentlemen and ladies should have the same sheets that I did, and fill them out where they came into the office at 8 o'clock, they left at 9 o'clock, they went to their first stop at 10 o'clock. So we have a general idea of what they're doing during the course of a day, okay? Pardon me? Pardon me? Somebody say something? All right, and my last thing would be, I saw this on social media, and I think it's very appropriate for everybody in Penn Hills, and I think Felix brought this up at one time also. And I'll read it to you. It says, volunteering is the ultimate exercise in democracy. You vote in the elections once a year, but when you volunteer, you vote every day about the kind of community you want to live in. And I think it makes a lot of sense. So please, thank you all for volunteering. I appreciate what you do for us. And I want everybody to have a Merry Christmas and a better New Year to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. This meeting is adjourned.
I'm sure.